I was in college, depressed, low self-esteem, and kind of overweight. I just wanted to do it. Found a website, arranged it, went there, was nervous at first, but she made it easy. She was very sweet and beautiful, and it was as good of a first experience as I could hope for, except I couldn't stay and snuggle for hours. I did that for a few more years with different women. Most were good experiences, but a few weren't, and eventually got less nervous around women. I got quite friendly with one. I helped her out with some photos and website stuff, and we hung out in malls and had dinner sometimes. She was the only one I went to for a year and a half and was kind of like girlfriend beginner training now that I think about it. I moved to another country where I didn't know how to get one there, so I just stopped doing it. Got in shape, handled depression better, found women would be flirting with me, and started dating. So it worked out for me in the end, but that isn't the case for everybody. I was involved with hiring a sex worker for a disabled man. He had cerebral palsy and really wanted to lose his virginity. It was a whole safeguarding thing with care managers and his parents having to be involved. We found him a lovely woman who had previous experience with disabled clients and everything went well for him. I was one of the more open-minded advocates involved. Sex workers offer services that mean far more to people in a lot of cases than you would think. Experiencing sex and intimacy for the first time just being one of them. Prostitution should long have been legalized and regulated and unionized. I didn't bat about it since I was 18. At the time, and a co-worker of mine would tell me his adventures in Tijuana and the lovely nightlife. One day I asked if I can tag along the next time he goes out there. He would go mostly every weekend since he had a girlfriend out there, and agreed. As we were on our way that night, he explained the do's and don'ts and what to expect out of it. He made it clear to take my time and not to rush anything. We had the whole night. Made it to TJ, went to his usual bar, and after 2 hours, I chose one for night. I was so damn nervous. All I've known was just jerking off to porn, and this was going into the real thing. She knew I was nervous and she put her hand on me and said, "It looks like it's your first time. Don't worry and relax." LOL, I kept going to limp mode due to being so nervous. She ended jerking me off at the end. I go back down to my co-worker and he asked how was it. It was fine, LOL. A week later I end hooking up with my first girlfriend and not being so nervous second time around. Since I was like 12 to 13 I always thought something was off with me. When boys talked about girls I just didn't relate at all to what they were saying, and I just rolled with it because I thought it was supposed to be like that. When I was about 18 to 19, I did feel this giant pressure to lose my virginity. Like every drinking game was just about people talking about their sex life. And I just didn't get it, at all. But at this party a girl is apparently very into me, and even cried when I didn't kiss her. Like how was I supposed to know that? Calmed her down, took her to my place, and fooled around a lot. I didn't really feel anything. She was pretty and I liked her, but not enough apparently. I wasn't nervous, it just felt like it was totally bad thing to do, not morally or legally, more like a principle or law of nature. I am not even sure if I technically had sex with her. So about 6 months later or something, on holiday with my best friends, we decide to hit a strip club. And I get a private dance. I found her to be stunning. She then initiates sex. I didn't protest. We go to this motel, I guess / hope. We do it, and she was stunning to me. It felt comfortable having sex with her, like I could tell she was good. But for some reason I was still emotionally numb. I was fully erect though. It would take me another 5 years to realize I am not really into women, and I even tried semi-hooking up with a guy just to be sure I wasn't gay, and I felt the exact numb feeling when kissing him, but luckily I stopped it going further knowing it wouldn't change me either. So when I looked about asexuality, a lot of things suddenly made super sense, and thinking back on it, I have no idea it took me that long to look things up. I was 21 and finally coming into my own, so I fired up my social life, super autistic, and it was very hard. After being stood up 3 times in a week I got sad and drunk and remembered 2 friends of mine telling they went to the red light district and only ended up talking, but I was the one of the group who did the shit others pussied out off, so I figured I could go the whole way. Found a brothel in my city that was open and I went there. It was just a normal house but with a camera at the door. Tackiest interior ever. Like 60 EU per half hour. The host was a 70-plus-year woman, and there were like 8 workers there. They all got let in and introduced themselves one by one, and then GMA asked for my choice. Woman I chose was French and we kinda communicated in gestures. I washed up a bit in front of her and she offered me a smoke. Then I laid down and we got to it, but I had just downed 3/4 THs of a bottle of rum, and I felt empty on the inside, so I could only muster a semi. It wasn't great. Lots of hand stuff, just exploring, but called it quits. I thanked her, told Grandpimp I had a great time, and left. If I felt empty before, I hadn't truly known emptiness till the moment I stepped outside and went home. Like hollow. I didn't regret it per se, it changed my view on sex and humanized the entire nature of it. Gave me a lot more confidence. Month later I was sort of dating the girl who'd be my first. But what followed was a string of relationships where I was just used. Cheaters, within on me. Some monkey's paw shit. I feel good about it, and it was realistically the only way it was going to happen. I had an abusive childhood, EI. My mother would have gotten prison time, and the only form of love I knew was pity. The chance to earn affection was earned in itself, and it was gamble if it paid out. I was taught love wasn't only conditional, but that it's a temporary commodity. Loads of mental shit and sweat. I had never been hugged before, and paid for it for 2 hours. Afterwards I dry heaved, but couldn't cry. At least I knew what it was like. Afterwards there was sex, but overall it was a beneficial experience. I was 14, she was in her 30s. The moment I came in the motel I went to her room. She asked how old I was, I told her, then she asked if I'm a virgin, I said yes, then she proceeded to coach me through it, particularly on how to control my thrust. Then in less than 5 minutes I came. It felt like I was in cloud 9. Went back to her a few times after that until my big brother snitched on me to my mom. She was disappointed in me, the rest was history. Looking back now, that's actually an abuse, cause I was a naive horny lil boy taken advantage of by this older woman who should have chased me away for being underage in the first place. I was 26, I was tired of not being able to talk to women and putting the pussy on a pedestal. It was ruling my life and I just had to get it done. I booked a last-minute trip to Amsterdam and found the hottest woman in a window. A 9'10" blonde. It was pretty uneventful, I enjoyed it and felt satisfied. I visited another lady the next day and that was much worse, so I went back to the original for the 3rd day and left after that. After coming back to my country I visited a few different ones and I felt more confident. Shortly after I met my wife and never looked back. Overall it was nice for the sexual gratification, but I never formed anything romantic with these ladies, so sex with a person you like/love is a lot better, but I don't regret it, it got me where I needed to be. I used to have a low self-image, even though I'm neither bad-looking nor overweight. I thought it would help me get some self-confidence and that I'd approach other girls easily. It went quite smoothly, she was very careful and peeked at me as I was walking down the hallway to her. The biggest thing I remember was listening to some radio that was on, no idea what that type of music is called. Maybe industrial, it was just some iron bars banging together in rhythm with some other instruments. Maybe she thought that younger people were listening to that and wanted to accommodate me. The sex part was, as you'd imagine, quick and lousy. I did get my ego boosted as she could not put it in her mouth at least halfway, but the rest was not good. I still remember showering at home, then again after arriving at her place, 3rd time after doing the deed, and again at home. She was a bit older and not in shape, no idea why I picked her. Looking back, I'm sorry for taking this path. I did not get any real useful experiences from it and I even have to hide it. To this date, it was the only prostitute I visited. I was 22. I had no confidence and low self-esteem due to my upbringing. At this point in my life, I was becoming embarrassed that I was a virgin. I had a few opportunities to lose it, but I would blow it. Nobody knew I was a virgin. Now I know that I'm above average, but back then I had issues. So one spring, I traveled to Amsterdam. I had no intention to sleep with a window girl. If anything, I thought it was disgusting. But when I arrived and saw them, I was surprised how many gorgeous women were there. On my last night, I realized this was a good opportunity to lose it. I knew my first time was going to be a train wreck, so why not embarrass myself with a girl I'm never going to see again? So I snuck out and went window shopping. I saw this insanely hot blonde and I approached her. She told me it will be 54 suckin' F ****. A lot less than expected. We started suck, but halfway she told me it will cost me another 100 for the rest. At that point, I felt like I was getting robbed. So I gave it to her. So she continued. As soon as we started the last part, I came within a minute. I didn't even enjoy it because of the situation of her scamming me another $100. What happened next still cracks me up. She asked if I liked it and yes, but she noticed I was lying. She then called me out and asked, "What's wrong? You didn't like it, did you?" She then told me to get back on the bed. I guess she wanted to redeem herself. So this time she put a lot of effort. But she was too fast that I came again within a minute. I was so embarrassed, see no evil monkey. And again, she saw it as I was not satisfied. At this point, it looked like she was more hurt than I was. I think I hurt her ego. Looking back, I laugh about it. I should have told her from the beginning that it was my first time. Could have been a better experience for both of us. The next time I had sex, it was nowhere near as embarrassing as the first time. So I'm actually glad I had the experience. In Amsterdam on my Euro trip the summer before college. It was fine. She asked if it was the first time I had done this. She meant been with a prostitute. I said yes. She tried to charge me every time I wanted to switch positions, so I just fucked her missionary for about 4 minutes till it was done. I really did not want to go to college a virgin, and thought about doing it for the entire 2 to 3 weeks of my trip. I knew the last stop was Amsterdam. Do not regret it at all. I don't go around advertising it, but whenever I get asked about first-time stories, it's a pretty funny one to get people's reaction. I never really had any luck with girls due to my height and boring personality, which causes me to watch a lot of porn and pen up a lot of sexual frustrations. I went to my first strip club at 22 and during my first Vegas trip and continued to go locally with friends and co-workers, every other week. But I needed to feel the real thing. An opportunity arises when my work asks for volunteers to work in Amsterdam for a week. I was 24 at that time and never traveled outside the States. I read online that it was legal there and saw a lot of porn about the red light district. Really? Girls just showcasing themselves in windows asking you to come in? I worked for a week and extended my stay for a day. During my last day in Amsterdam, I woke up in the morning, jerked off, then walked around exploring the city, located the red light district. A funny story here is that, I heard weed is legal there and I never tried it before, which also means I have no idea how to get it, so I went to a regular bakery. I thought any bakery would have those baked goods, and asked for what would give me the lightest buzz. The baker looked at me like I'm an idiot and gave me the most expensive cupcake on the menu. It was literally a regular cupcake. I ate it and just sat at the cafe for an hour for this buzz to kick in. Anyways, I then went back to the hotel room, showered, ate dinner and went out again. Nightlife was packed. The red light district was packed. And it's true. Extremely good-looking girls naked at the window stalls. I saw a girl that looked like the girl of my dreams, but I was too scared to go in. There were a lot of people around her when she was at the window. I felt embarrassed to approach, so I walked around more. I came back to the same spot multiple times, but she was always surrounded by other people or she was not at the window. I have been walking around for hours at this point and my feet hurts. I was about to call it and go back to my hotel room if I see that she's not available. I didn't see anyone there, so I waved at her. She waved back and gestured her hand to ask me to come in. I asked her how much and she said €50 for sex. I paid, then she checked my penis for disease and put a condom on me. I told her it was my first time, so she did most of the work. It was amazing. I lasted for 20 minutes probably because I jerked off in the morning. I'm not that big, but her moans sounded realistic. I wanted to ask her to marry me, but then I came. I thanked her and went back to my hotel room to scrub down. Reality hits and now I thought I definitely caught a STD and that was on my mind the whole way home. A week later, I went to my doctor and told him I had sex with a prostitute, and he gave me all sorts of tests. I was negative. October 10th would do it again. Korea 1964. I was 18 and she was probably about 30. She was small with a cute face and body. All missionary. I pumped and pumped much longer than I figured I would because it was less intense than masturbation with hair pomade, which had spoiled me. Finally popped. I later had a month-to-month girlfriend where we had good sex. Years later, I learned you could prolong it for hours. That came after we discovered marijuana in the late 60s. When I was 14, my GF ghosted me all of a sudden. I thought that was because I couldn't give it to her. It was then difficult for me to take something like that and really took a toll on my self-esteem. Then I've decided go fuck someone just to see if I've got it in me. Went to a different city alone, wasted a lot of money on the brokers, finally got a not-so-good-looking as expected girl for the money I've put in. She started to talk, but I really was not in the mood to make love, so I've asked her politely we start the act. I've made a few reps, 15 to 20 IG, and I was done. Tipped her for helping me out and left. Only after that I've realized sex without intimacy means nothing to me. Now it doesn't even feel like I've lost virginity that day. As a 25M virgin who's Christian, I'd be lying if I said I didn't even think of this a couple of times. It's something that has been in the back of my head for a while. The main thing that keeps me from doing it is contracting some sort of STI, or getting someone pregnant. I also can't really see myself going on a one-night stand. Sex is really intimate and I want to have it with someone I am in a serious relationship with. But at the same time, the more I age, the more I just want to experience it and get it over with. Maybe that's my porn addiction fueling the fire, but the thought has crossed my mind more than once. The temptation is there. LOL. It doesn't help that a lot of my friends have started dating and or are married with kids now.